I was like, well, you represent New Britain and Newington. Maybe we'll have to Aaron Stewart. Yeah, I know. Welcome back. Representative Gary Turco. It's the 27th, right?
Yes.
And you represent New Britain and Newington, and we were sort of joking. I wasn't joking, but maybe I'll get to it if we can. He's like, we didn't say we were going to talk about Aaron Stewart and Mayor Sanchez and what's going on in New Britain. First of all, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
People out there who don't know who you are, I mean, you're the deputy majority leader, so you work closely with Jason, obviously,
Yes.
and the rest of the caucus. Just talk about, sort of how you arrived at this career where you have a job and you also serve. I mean, I'm always fascinated what draws people to this kind of service.
Yeah, sure. I'm serving in my 4th term, running for my 5th. So I've done about 8 years already. Legislating, through the years of COVID, we've had a lot of challenges, but we were doing really well as a state, which I'm proud of the work we've done. I went to school at Sacred Heart University down in Fairfield, was a political science major. Didn't start out that way, thought I'd go into business, but I took a, poli-sci 101 course and just fell in love with the ability to actually make change to help a lot of people on a grand scale that you can really only do in government. And interned at the state capitol, saw the policy-making process and said, I have to do this. And never thought I would run for office myself. Worked at the state capitol for a number of years, but then an opportunity presented itself in 2018 where I didn't like certain aspects of where the country was going and what some of the representatives here in Connecticut were doing to replicate some of the federal government's policies that I thought were extreme, so I ran for office.
So wait, clarify. So you get out of Sacred Heart and you get a job up in Hartford at the Capitol.
Yeah.
Doing what?
I started out as
Democratic Party, or
as a legislative aide to the former Speaker of the House. At the time was Jim Amon.
Yeah.
And then got into doing policy work at the Capitol for a while.
And that was your full-time job.
Yes.
And then you got a graduate degree at Central. Did you do that while you were doing that stuff?
While I was going to school, I did leave after about 10 years at the state capitol.
Oh, so you spent that much time.
Yeah. And then I did some work in the private sector. I worked for a public relations firm. I worked for a tech company. And then I worked in higher education. So I got experience in government, for-profit, small business, and in higher education, nonprofit.
Does the career just you do it so you can do the legislative stuff? I mean, is it because I find it difficult to balance those two, I'm sure.
Well, now, as a legislator, it's only a...
well, I know it's part-time, but I mean, my point is, like, do you do the other career so you can do the legislating? I mean, which one... I don't know if your bosses are watching, but I mean, in terms of your, like, personal passion and priority.
Yeah, I think it probably depends on the legislator. My wife expects me to be, helping pay the bills, and as a legislator,
you don't make
it
a whole
doesn't
lot.
do that.
Yeah.
So my job sometimes of the year, like right now during legislative session, we're going to start doing 12, 15. I've done, starting at 10 a.m. one day and going to 2 p.m. the next day, 26 hours straight. So you never know what the days are going to bring. So right now, my focus is on passing legislation, but when things get a little slower at the Capitol, I can focus more on my other job.
So you were in the House when they legalized basically mobile gaming, right? Both sports betting and online casinos, correct? Yeah. Do you regret that?
Well, at the time in 2021, there was certainly concerns that more prevalence of gaming was going to lead to individuals that maybe aren't able to self-regulate or maybe will end up having a problem gambling. There were certainly those concerns that we had to weigh. But there were also concerns that a lot of that sort of gambling was happening anyway, but on the black market. And where are those black market dollars going? We had the opportunity to say, okay, well, let's bring it in-house. Let's regulate it. Let's make sure that revenue is actually going to the state to help pay for transportation and education and all of our benefits and closely monitor it. But since then, Brian, the market has changed so much that now, for some of us, if we knew what we knew now, maybe we would vote differently.
So what has changed, like when you point to that, what is different?
Sure. Just give you one example. In 2023, not long ago, the NFL did not allow gaming advertising during their games.
Right.
If anybody watched the Super Bowl this year, every other advertisement was for some sort of gaming platform, right? So already the sports industries have decided there's a lot of money to be made here, and they're going to work with these gaming platforms to target their audiences. The other thing is just technology. With these mobile phones now, we thought a lot of times people were going to go into the casino where there's DraftKings and FanDuel. They have, setups with their...
sports books are a waste of time for a lot of people now because you can just do it on your phone. Why would you go?
You can do everything here, but now there are new type of gaming, betting, gambling in these prediction markets.
So you're talking Kalshi and Polymarket.
Exactly.
Specifically, yeah.
That didn't exist. We are unable to regulate. We have tried here in Connecticut. The Trump administration's actually suing us to prohibit regulating them. There's no age gating. So with our other sports gaming, you have to be 21 or over.
Right.
With these platforms, children as young as any age can get on them.
So you can't pass a bill that regulates it like online gambling and then they sue you? Like you can't even pass legislation?
We are being sued at the moment for before even passing any legislation.
How can they even do that,
to try to regulate? Because we try to regulate it within our existing authority through our Department of Consumer Protection and the gaming laws we already have, basically saying that, hey, we have legalized online gaming here. You, Kalshi and Polymarket, have to follow the laws that Connecticut already has. And they told us, absolutely not. And when we said you have to or you're going to be fined, the Trump administration sued us, and we should disclose that Donald Trump Jr. and the Trump family are investors in these platforms and advisors to them.
So you're implying that that's the reason why?
That seems like a really big conflict of interest when the Trump administration is telling states you can't regulate them and the family is making money from these actual platforms.
Yeah, for me, the manipulation part of it is the worrisome thing, like not just the addiction and the low barrier of entry, like anybody can really do it, but I also think that some of the things are people get inside information, or like the whole example of like, oh, if so-and-so says this word in his speech, you just pay him to say that word in his speech and then everybody wins. There's just a lot of complications. So I want to get into SB 381, but I want to start with a larger question. If you could do everything you wanted to keep everything legal, but tweak the way we either regulate it or monitor it or educate people, what's your sort of blue sky wish list of what we would tweak?
Yeah, first, I think there needs to be some limitation on the actual advertising and the targeting. One of the bills that we're looking at in the legislature now is to limit how artificial intelligence uses the data on people's, mobile phones or platforms on how they're gambling, and then using that data to get them to spend more money on the platforms.
Just getting them in their feeds and their algorithm to get more, pound them with ads to do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly. Like, Brian, we noticed you haven't bet in 3 days. Here's $20 to bet and, spend this and get them back on the platform. So looking at your habits, using your data individually, artificial intelligence can do that. Figuring out what games you like to play, offering you special promotions. There's got to be some regulation.
But there isn't. That's not in either of these bills.
That is actually in the general law bill that we actually have this year to limit.
There's the general law bill, then there's SB 381.
Yes,
correct?
the higher education
and
bill.
So the SB 381 is out of committee and might get a vote. The general law bill, just quickly, what else is in it and what phase is it in?
Yeah, that's out of committee as well.
Okay.
Waiting a vote too in the Senate, and that restricting the artificial intelligence and how it's targeting. And then the other component, which I've been fighting for several years now, unsuccessfully, hopefully this year we'll get it done, is to severely restrict the type of advertising for these gaming platforms on college campuses.
Do they actually advertise on college campuses now?
There is some advertising that's going on, and we are fearful that it will only get worse. We did pass legislation a couple years ago that prohibits colleges and universities for getting any financial kickbacks from soliciting their students, because this actually happened at one of the universities down south, where they allowed their email system to solicit students about these gaming platforms, and when students signed up, the university would receive some sort of compensation. So we saw that and said, absolutely not is that happening in Connecticut. We were able to ban it. I'm having some trouble banning the advertising on the college campuses to the extent I think we should do it, but we're working with University of Connecticut and others on some sort of compromised language, because there's a lot of revenue that our schools make.
Well, that's the thing, is that
this.
nobody wants to get rid of it from the state level too, because there's a lot of tax revenue. The money's too good, right? So, so that's the general law bill. So what's in SB 381?
Yeah, because there's all of these loopholes, and I was talking with Nathan from Wesleyan University, you're going to have on soon, that said, even, the prediction markets, we just talked about, there's no age gating. Young people are able to get on them until we find a way to be able to regulate them. But these other platforms...
So they don't even ask 18 or over, or they might do the question, anyone could just say yes, and you just move forward with no vetting?
Yeah, it's very simple to be able to get around whatever they might do there. But FanDuel and some of those other DraftKings and those platforms we can regulate are supposed to be really strict and ensuring only 21 and over.
Right.
And what Nathan was just sharing with me, and we've heard this, his friends, young people are smart at technology.
Yep.
They get around these things. So we know this is going to happen, even for platforms we can regulate. So what the bill will do is say that all of our public colleges and universities have to offer annual education programs so that youth know the potential harms for using these platforms, how to do it responsibly, and then if they experience a problem, they believe, or they see their friends believe, have a gambling addiction, they know how to get help, reduces the stigma from it, and there's resources available to them. Because our Department of Mental Health and Addiction, they did a survey of all of our college campuses. 73% of youth were using some sort of gaming platform, and almost 20% showed they were at high risk of a problem, and some had serious mental health issues.
So it's just for public institutions this is for, correct? Is that what you said?
The bill, unfortunately, is only for public.
Okay. And who would pay for it?
Well, I think the estimated...
I would think the schools, no, sorry to interrupt, but I would think the schools would want to do this, because they all have wellness programs. They all have, health programming around this. You would imagine this would be part of their regular programming.
And I think for some colleges and universities, community colleges, some of them will do this on their own, whether this bill is in place or not. We'd like to ensure that all of them do it now and into the future, because this problem's only going to get worse if we don't get a handle on it. There was estimated with the fiscal note on it that for each college campus it costs up to $5,000 to implement this sort of educational programming. So we're looking at if the state will be able to provide some funds to assist them with that.
Okay, so handicap the odds of either getting a vote.
I would say the higher education bill, as long as there's the funding for it, has a very high chance of becoming law.
Wait, that's the general law one or the SB?
The higher education, the SB 381. Yeah, I think that as long as there's the funding for it that the universities and colleges need, and we're working through the budget process right now.
Would that be like a 10 million? Like, I don't even know what the number would be.
If you look at, we have UConn, we have our 4 state universities,
WestConn,
and then we have
Con, Eastern Con.
Yeah, a number of our community colleges. We're probably not looking at a very high fiscal note for that.
But you think it'll get a vote?
I think it has a very good chance of getting
And why
a
wouldn't
vote.
the other one? Just
The
time?
general law one, I think because of probably a lot of industry pushback, and our tribes, our Native American tribes, that own Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods Casino. There's a lot of friction when state government tries to regulate, because they are independent sovereign nations.
Right.
So we need cooperative agreements, and to do this in a partnership, we have done great in many years in getting a lot of those partnerships. Sometimes it takes several years before we are able to strike that deal.
Great. Maybe you stick around. We'll talk to Nathan, and then maybe we can all talk together about it on a bigger picture level. We appreciate it. Representative Gary Turco, again from the 27th District, Newington and New Britain. When we come back, Nathan Hirschfield, he's a sophomore at Wesleyan, and he's pretty vocal about this issue. And I think it's important, honestly. Like sometimes me in the media, you in government, we don't talk to the people this stuff impacts the most. So we'll get his perspective when we come right back. We continue with Representative Gary Turco, but Nathan Hirschfield is joining us. He's a sophomore at Wesleyan. I mean, first of all, how are you?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
I want to jump right into it. I mean, you're involved to the point, that letter that I read, did you read that in person or did you just submit it? Like, how did that work?
I just submitted it online to the website to submit testimony. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to go read it in front of the committee, but I do think it's a really important issue, and I kind of wish I had time to go read it in front of everybody.
Like, how did you? Was this an assignment through your internship or through a class, or like how did you get going on this?
A lot of my friends have this kind of problem, so I thought, I saw it was on the bulletin board, and I was like,
what was on the bulletin board?
The bill.
Like in your dorm?
No, on the CJ website.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, this seems like something I should write about, and so I was like, why not? Submit it.
Are you like a politically active human being? Like, I can't imagine if I was a sophomore in college that I would do that.
I mean, I like to say I'm not that politically active, but I think in the last year I've become a little more active with my current internship with Community Health Centers of Connecticut. So
wait, what's it with?
Community Health Centers of Connecticut.
And that's what like you're doing interns to build up your resume and stuff like that, and
yeah.
that's your internship.
Yeah.
So you do it like during the school year?
Yeah, I've been doing it in the fall semester, and I've been working in the spring semester, just helping to submit testimony.
So what's your major?
Government and English.
You like Wesleyan?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good place. For full disclosure, my brother and sister graduated from there, and I have two nieces there now, and they're really happy there too. So I have a little bit of a bias toward the school, although I went to Amherst, so I have also a little bit of a dislike
might have
for
to
it.
leave,
Yeah. And you're a club soccer player, is that what I
Yeah.
read too?
Yeah.
And you guys won the NESCAC. Was that last year, or was that this year?
We won the NESCAC Cup last year. That's on Saturday too. If anyone wants to come
This
to Tufts.
this Saturday?
It's this tomorrow, yeah. If anyone wants to come to Tufts and watch us win our third in a row.
So you're playing Tufts in the finals?
We're playing Conn College and Middlebury in the group stage, and then we have 2 games.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's pretty fun. They didn't even have club soccer when I was in college.
it's a great experience.
Yeah. So the gambling stuff, like, what made it important to you? Actually, stop there. What are your friends doing right now? Like, what do they do?
Well, gamble. That was just kind of the problem.
All the time?
Well, it used to be all the time. It used to be every day. Every day I'd have to look at, my group chats and see, guys, what should I bet on? Like, help me cook up this parlay with all the NBA games going on. It's like, I don't like
you didn't do it yourself?
No. I will say sometimes I did get involved. Like, I remember there was one day that like all the NHL teams were playing in one day, and I was like, oh, we should
do like a 10
we should
parlay.
do like a 15 game parlay or whatever, like just for fun. But like for some of my friends, this is like every day. It's like, let's place like 30 player props. Like, let's try to turn $1 into 1 million. Like, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but like try to do these like impossible things that will never hit. And eventually, like, it just becomes this like everyday thing that like you have to do almost. Like, they feel like they have to do it. And eventually it got to a point for one of my friends where he lost an insane amount of money, and he decided like this is it. Like, I have to stop. But even then, like, he's still doing it like subconsciously almost. Like, I was at a game with him a month ago, and he's like thinking like it was like a blowout, and he's like, oh, I wonder what the line is right now for the team that's getting blown out to come back. It's like instilled in his mind. And
is it mainly a guy thing?
So I thought it was mainly a guy thing, but when I was doing research for the testimony to submit, it's happening to girls too. I don't remember the exact statistic, but it was pretty even on guys and girls. That
I think the addicted, it was like 14 for men and 3 for women. So
yeah, there's the largest disparity there, but at least for people that had submitted or had done a bet, it was men and women. Like, it was pretty equal, which I thought was surprising. Like, I really just thought it was like a guy thing. But yeah, the addiction is definitely more heavily on the guy side.
And also, tell the story. Do you want to say something?
I was just going to say, I bet
Just
the
step
reason
in
why
next time, just talk.
there's a pretty even overall in the bets for women and men is because of these prediction markets where you can bet on things that women might be more interested in
Than just sports.
Who is going to perform at the Super Bowl and or who show up with Bad Bunny when they were dancing, or who's going to win an Academy Award and that kind of stuff.
Are Polymarket and Kalshi a factor now too?
Yeah, that's probably like the biggest thing. Everyone's somehow advertising with them. Sometimes they're not even disclosed as ads, and they're pretty sneaky. Like some of the Instagram pages I follow that do sports, like they'll say like, "Oh, I wonder who's going to win the NHL, like the Stanley Cup this year," and then they'll show like the Polymarket graph, and like it's like very sneaky. Like you wouldn't really think it was an ad, but like it is.
Yeah.
Like all the way at the bottom of the caption, will say like, download Polymarket, like use my Polymarket code to submit your first bet. But like really, it just like looks like they're showing a graph of like who has the highest chance of winning the Stanley Cup this year.
I mean, listen, I'll screw around every now and then. I play this golf game on my phone, and almost every ad is Kalshi. I mean, they're spending tens of millions of dollars trying to be the brand that They want to be the Google of this product. And if you did get the opportunity to legislate something like no mobile advertising from these, could that actually be enforced? Do we have the technology, like in Connecticut, to create that kind of firewall?
Yeah, we actually do. For example, you can buy a Connecticut lottery ticket on your phone, but it's geo-fenced. So as soon as you drive over the border to Massachusetts, you can no longer buy that ticket. Same thing with platforms from those other states when you come into our state. And actually, right now, we have really important legislation that's going to, and I believe it will pass, regulate how social media platforms target our youth by restricting them from using algorithms based on the data from the minors' phones and then keeping them addicted to the social media platforms with more sensationalized content. And that will be geo-fenced, so when a young person's in Connecticut, they'll be protected. When they leave the state, well, then that's another state law.
Right. What would you do? Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I think that's a good idea.
What would you, if you had the levers of power, as I like to say, what would you do to either change this, fix it, or try to help the people who can't help themselves?
Well, I mean, I don't think it should be banned. I think it needs to be really, really regulated a lot more. I would definitely crack down on the ads. I think that's a really good idea, what you were just discussing. The geofencing is also a good idea. But I would really work on teaching people to I'd work on destigmatizing the addiction. I would work on programs teaching people about what the addiction is, the dangers of gambling, how people are trying to target the youth and things like that to get them to be addicted and continue to using the platforms. And I would offer multiple ways for people to go and get help. At Wesleyan, just for an example of things that I've seen, sometimes every now and then there'll be a van that comes around that says come here for gambling addiction support and things like that. But it's only there when there's a huge crowd of people around. And
nobody wants to be like, hey, you go get the taco. I'm gonna go to the troubled gambling.
Yeah, no one wants to, for lack of a better term, out themselves as someone with a gambling addiction in front of almost the entire school. It feels like.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be a more known but private space for people to go to talk to somebody.
Now, I don't mean disrespecting this question because there is a lot of diversity and socioeconomic diversity at Wesleyan. But is this a rich kid problem?
I honestly don't know. I think it might be more of a rich kid problem. But for my friend that has a really big issue, he's kind of started to become more financially independent, and so it's become less of a rich kid problem. Sort of he's kind of paycheck to paycheck. Every paycheck he gets, he's putting it on, or he was putting it into gambling. He was trying to save up for a car, and he was like, "Oh, what a great idea to get a car! If I put $500 on this, I can pay for my car." And then he loses the $500, and now he's setting himself back. So, is there a guy code that you don't sort of intervene, right? So, to what point do you say something? Because it's a different kind of deal. People don't necessarily are comfortable doing that kind of thing. I think for a time it was kind of like that. There was a guy code where it's we're just not going to say anything. He needs to figure this out on his own. And then once we realized that, and this is in my case, I think once we realized there was a really big problem, we were we need to step in. He's gonna actually ruin his life. And I think that guy code kind of prevented us from stepping in earlier. So yeah, I definitely think that has an effect on it.
And I think that needs to be part of the education program on the colleges and university campuses is how do you recognize your friends have a problem, you know,
Right.
with alcohol or drugs, not always, but sometimes you're going to see some signs, right? But with gaming, someone could have a serious problem and, you know, it's very hard to detect it
Right.
unless you're looking for the signs. You know, one thing we also have been trying to regulate, I was talking to Nathan about this in the green room, is trying to prohibit people from being able to use credit cards when they're doing this gambling.
So only
through their
debit,
platforms.
only debit.
Yeah.
Right, because then potentially there's a limit to it, right?
Yeah,
You wipe up your bank account. I mean, that's a terrible thing in itself. But then, you know, you have to stop at that moment. With a credit card,
go
especially you
into
got
debt,
multiple,
yeah.
you keep going.
You know, I was 50, and it freaked me out. No offense, but people who are in their late teens and early 20s, we know what the brain development is. I mean, the self-control isn't even there, and I had trouble at 50. I can't imagine how difficult it is to avoid the temptation, especially when it's so bleeping accessible all the time. I want to take a break because technology issues more broadly are important to you, correct?
Yes.
And I also want to ask you about sort of integrating the time spent and what it takes away from your regular life, and also like in relationship to social media too. Like I'd love just to get a little insight from you on that, if you wouldn't mind.
What do you mean, like?
Like in terms of like how much time people are spending on their phones and through social media and the detraction from human contact. I'm not going to ask you yet. We're going to take a break, but I'd like to get into that because I don't think a lot of our audience, they might not have teenage kids or college age kids. And the thing that is so underplayed is that you're a huge resource because we don't know squat, right? I mean, we just don't. Like I have teenage sons, but they don't tell me anything. I just take away their phone, whatever. So, I mean, we'll take a break here. Can we guinea pig you a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So how many hours do you sleep a day?
I'd like to try and sleep 8, but sometimes it goes more to like 7 or 6.
Okay, let's just say 7 to average it out. How many hours a day are you in class?
Usually like 4.
4, that much?
Yeah.
Okay, so 4. And how much time are you on your phone? Like what is do you do a screen time like
I'm embarrassed to say it's getting up to like 10.
10? Okay, so we'll say 9. We'll be kind with 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say 9. I'm not a math major, but that's 20. Right? So that's 20 hours. So that's 4 hours a day. You can eat, work out, and talk to other human beings. Does that strike you as a healthy balance?
No, but you know, I'd like to think that also some of that is mixed with each other. Like I'm on my phone a little too much at the gym and other things like that, and in class, unfortunately.
So are you the average? Are you like the stereotype number?
I sure hope not.
Would you
But
be
probably?
Would you be when you say you sure? First of all, thank you for being disclosed. I'm on my phone like 10 hours a day too.
Yeah.
I do a lot of work through it too, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. Like I'm on my phone a crap ton. But are most people the same, or a little less than you, or a little more?
Probably around the same, I think. I mean, it definitely depends on what you're doing every single day. Like, if you're in class more, if you have more labs, if you have a job, a sport, things like that, you might be off your phone less. I also think it depends on the day. Like, there's some days where I don't have class, I have basically nothing to do, so I might just be sitting in my room on my phone all day, so it'll be more. So if people have days like that, they might be on their phone way more. If it's the opposite, if they're super busy, they might be on their phone way less, things like that. But yeah, I mean.
Do you do it to avoid social contact? Because my wife works at Loomis Chaffee. It's a boarding school in Windsor, and I don't work there. But they have cell phone policy. But when their kids like head down, walking on the path, I'll like say hello to them just to get them out of their catatonic state. And they're like, "Whoa!" But I feel like they're on it, so they don't have to say hello.
Yeah, there are definitely times where I'll go on my phone just to avoid like an awkward situation or avoid having to like talk to someone I might not want to talk to. There are definitely times I do that.
Is there, and what is the breakdown of your time on? Is like what's your social media like?
It's almost exclusively social media. Like sometimes I'll be playing like a mobile game like Clash Royale or something like that, but it's mostly social media.
And mainly Instagram?
I'd say mainly TikTok. Yeah. Yeah.
It's Were you lying? Because that's
the. You feel like Facebook is for like grandparents now.
Yeah.
Instagram's becoming for the parents, and the kids are on
Yeah.
TikTok.
yeah. Well, they used to say back when I was younger, like Facebook was like the living room, and this was another room, and like Snapchat was the basement. You know what I mean? Like and how it breaks down. But how concerning is that? Like that for you? That so much time is spent on those things.
Yeah, very, very much so, especially because it's been shown for youth that that amount of time on social media and the type of content that's being pushed to them has caused a lot of mental health issues for kids. And one of the pieces of legislation we're looking at this year, and I'm hopeful it will go through, will prohibit the use of cell phones in K through 12 schools. So it wouldn't affect private schools like Loomis Chaffee or college, but at least up to high school, not having any
Well, I would argue, and you're the one who's the protector here, the control, that outside of Snapchat, they can do everything on their computer they can do on the phone, though. So they would just gravitate to their computer. Like in the classroom, if they have a laptop, they can just do everything but Snapchat on the laptop, right? They can message, they can do TikTok, they can do Instagram, they can do whatever.
Yeah, and I don't want to be that guy, but you can
be that guy.
You connect to your phone on your computer now too. Like I do that all the time. Like you can like Bluetooth connect to your phone now if you have a Mac, like things like that.
So you can actually have all your functionality of your phone on your computer.
I literally just use my phone on my computer sometimes. Like it just connects to my phone. Like I basically just have my phone on my laptop.
Oh, that's
like I'm
such a
using
hack.
my phone.
I'm not against it. Like I think the more you can limit it in school, especially in the high schools, I think the better. But I think kids are so savvy and they work around it. And I also think like AI is another great conversation to have, because in school, we've had so many conversations on this show, and we're only 2 weeks old. I use this is the third time I'll use it. In school, they say, you're not going to be able to get a job unless you're really literate in how to use AI. But then they tell you, well, don't use it in your schoolwork. And so the kids get very, very confused. I mean, is that the dynamic at West as well? Or people are they writing papers with ChatGPT, or you guys got to be past that, I would assume?
Well, so it really depends on what the AI policy is, right? So at first it was like no AI. Then a couple of my classes, it was like, go ahead and use it, just tell me what you're using it for. But people were using it to just write their paper for them. But it was technically it was allowed. It was like, well, you told me I could just use AI for anything as long as I am like, well, this is what I used it for. So the AI policies have kind of become like something you do on like the first day of class. You kind of make it with the class. It's like, this is what we're allowed to do, or just no AI at all. But it's usually something like, you can use it like to edit your paper. Don't use it to write your paper. You can use it to like research, but you pretty much have to disclose what you used it for, and you definitely cannot use it to write at all.
Do people do it anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they just get out the catchwords that they can do. Are there going to be more efforts to so you'd like to ban cell phones in K through 12. What else? Is there anything? I'm not a big government guy, so but at the same time, I don't know what to do in this situation. I failed as a parent. COVID killed me, because I was like, what am I going to do for all this time? And I couldn't regulate all my kids. And I have at least one kid who's got way, way too much time. And I don't know how to put the genie back in the bottle. My kids don't read. I mean, it's a major personal issue for me.
Yeah. Along with the social media bill that I was mentioning that would prohibit using the algorithms, it also would limit notifications. So you're not going to get notifications, throughout the night to try to drag you back to use those platforms. And also have a Surgeon General's warning every time you log in, Nathan, to TikTok. If the bill passes, for 30 seconds, there'll be a Surgeon General's warning. Looks similar to a warning like on a cigarette box or something like that. That will, tell you about the harms. And then after using it 3 hours that day, that is going to pop up again. Curious if you think that will change. Will it make youth think at all before they're about to start their day using social media that this could cause harms, or will young people just ignore it?
It would probably just make me close the app. Honestly, if I have to watch that for 30 seconds, I'd probably just close the app.
And go on to another
I'd go on to something else probably.
Well, I mean, maybe if it keeps you from using the app and you have to go talk to your dorm mates or something like that.
Do we need to just adjust to the new reality? Is it us that needs to adjust?
I mean, everyone, yes and no. Social media is a pretty big part of everyone's lives, but everyone also generally agrees. Even I think that it's horrible. I can't focus on anything for more than 2 minutes, because all I'm doing is just scrolling on TikTok all day. But I do think efforts having a Surgeon General's warning would definitely help.
Interesting.
As much as I know I would hate it, and everyone else I know would hate it, and if they see that I'm saying this, they'd probably be pissed at me. But
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
listen.
it would be helpful. Like, it would be nice to be able to pay attention to things for more than like 5 minutes.
They say when the kids put stuff down and they're forced to not even grab it, things get better. Like my son can't watch commercials during a game. He picks up his phone during commercials. And it's pretty stunning. And like I said, I'm only incrementally better. I force myself to try to read. The last thing I try to do before I go to bed is read and not the phone, but I still look at the phone before bed.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts before we go? Anything on your mind you want this incredibly huge audience that we have?
Nathan mentioned Clash of Kings, which I know is a game.
You like that one?
I don't play. That's a pay-for-play type of game. I like when I can pay $5, download it, and play all I want.
Gotcha.
Because this gaming for youth is being made just like the sports betting is, and Kalshi and these things, to get young people addicted to that sort of dopamine hit, and then having to put more and more money into it. As you go. It's the same type of betting, except you can't win money, but you win different
Coins,
prizes
gems,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we have to look into regulating that as well, I think.
But what I think is funny is most people generally understand that those games are like pay-to-win scams. So I think it's funny that people like recognize that, but can't really, like, they still have issues with the gambling. I think there might be something there. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but...
Listen, guys, that was great. I really appreciate the time. Nathan Hirschfield at Wesleyan. Maybe come back for whatever. We'll talk again. And Representative Turco, I'd like to continue the conversation. I have a radio show on WTIC as well. We'd love to have you on as well. You can stick around. We've got a few more minutes. I do something called 3 for the Road, where there's a story or 2 or 3. It's always 3 that I want to touch on. Number 1, I wanted to touch on Ticketmaster and Live Nation. Now, it was found to be a monopoly. I just got a couple of numbers I want to share with you. 86% of all concerts in this country go under the umbrella of Ticketmaster and Live Nation. If you throw in sports, the whole market, they control 73% of it. Now, this decision would, I think, cap fees at 15%. But if you're buying a $200 concert ticket for Taylor Swift, that's still $30. And the settlement is for $280 million. Now, they only said that they overcharged by an average of $1.72. Now, for me, I can't go to half of these shows because of the dynamic pricing. And if the band got 80% of the revenue, I'd be fine with it. But they don't. And so that's my problem, because they can't make the same amount of money than when we were little with CDs and so on and so forth. But it's not the band. The band can only make money from concerts. But if you're paying $50 in a service fee per ticket, the band sees none of it. And so I think that they're not punishing them enough, in my opinion. The other thing is fascinating. Allbirds. Do you ever own a pair of Allbirds?
Yes.
So it was a big shoe thing, and they went public. At one point, they were worth $4 billion. And then they went public, and it went in the tank. They actually sold all their intellectual property for like $40 million. They came out earlier this week and said they're switching to Newbird AI, and they're going to be an AI company. And the stock went up 500%. Now, it gave back like 30% 2 days ago, and it's up slightly today. But just putting AI on the company's brand added $150 million to their market cap. That's how frothy we are in AI, that a shoe company can transition to AI and their stock goes up 530%. The last thing I want to touch on, which we should have talked about, but we didn't. Yale just came out with a report that said the erosion of public trust in colleges and universities is the fault of the colleges and the universities. They talk about cost, they talk about admissions, academic standards, issues of free speech, and it's fascinating. We just talked earlier this week about Hampshire College is closing, Anna Maria in Massachusetts might close, St. Michael's in Vermont might close, these middle-sized schools. Now the trades are coming on, which is great. Maybe that's one of the reasons fewer people are going to these schools. But here's a number, 2 statistics that I'll share with you for perspective, and we'll close on this. In 2013, 70% of all people polled thought college was very important. You want to guess what that number is in 2025? You want to give it a guess? Do you want to guess? I mean, it's a leading question. I'm trapping you.
25%.
Well, I don't think it's that low, like maybe 50.
Okay, so you guys are both sort of in the middle. It's 35%. So it's been cut in half in basically 13 years in terms of people who consider it to be very important. And I think it's interesting. Yale's trying to stay out of the president's crosshairs, so it's an interestingly timed report. But at the same time, it makes some sense. When I was at Amherst, there were tremendous free speech problems. The people who were conservatives on the campus felt they couldn't say anything. It was either you had a certain opinion or you were wrong, and they ended up being very, very negative on the institution because of it. And so those issues are real regardless of who's in the White House.